Test 1, 2, testing 69, 1, 2, 3. One thing that I have noticed too about the videos is that they get views over like a couple weeks now instead of a day, you know?
Right.
It's almost as if like the algorithm has changed or the Dota community has changed so that like there's people are watching older content. I don't know. There's something happening where like the views aren't just before it'd be like they spike all in 2 days and then after that it's just no views.
Yeah.
But
You know what's kind of interesting is
it seems like they're really interested in the like, oh, this was the most popular video this week, so let's promote this instead of today.
right. Yeah, that is interesting to think about. I also I just kind of feel like at this point we are so populated in the search results for Dota content. It's like us, Game Leap,
Bowie.
New from UA, yeah, Bowie, and then there's like a couple like Dota Tips channel and like a couple of the Russian ones. Like that's basically all that comes back when people search for Dota. So I think
Yeah, I was really happy to type in Dota, and then like the fifth or sixth one down was Alchemy.
mhm.
That was cool. That was really cool. I
it,
felt really good about that.
that was in an incognito tab, so you didn't have search data
Let
affecting
me
it
see.
because that definitely.
Maybe. Oh god.
Sorry, I don't want to break your confidence for,
Oh no,
for a
no, no. We're
podcast.
still on it. We're still on it in
Okay,
an incognito. Dota Alchemy. We're the last one.
good stuff.
We're the last one on the list. But
Good
that's
stuff.
good because we're still on the list.
Oh yeah.
That is really good. No, I'm proud of that. I'm really proud of that. I never would have thought that our videos would be. Dude,
Yeah.
when we started, we were like, "Hey, dude, let's do Pugna again. Let's just make a website." I didn't believe in the YouTube channel thing because I thought it would be really hard to get viewers. I thought it would be really hard to like build, which I mean it was, but I was thinking it would take like I don't know 5 years or something like that.
Mhm.
Just didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that we were gonna be fine. I didn't know how fast we would grow. I thought we'd do pretty well just because the amount of terrible content on YouTube is extremely high, and so cutting.
It has definitely gotten better.
Yeah,
Like
well, people have fallen off.
speed, speed has been a blessing to Dota.
Mm,
Bowie has been Bowie's been churning out content like consistently. Henry started doing content. I feel like there's like a little competitiveness between all of us too, where it's like if one guy's like trending for something, like we're all trying to like, you know, do something like bigger or do like the next thing that people
right.
care
So,
about. I think that helps.
speaking of that, I actually had an interesting suggestion in our Discord today that I think that we should do. We're gonna get flamed for it, but we should definitely do it because it'll make things a lot more interesting. So for replay review, we should start doing guess the rank as just part of the replay review
Okay.
because I think that will also potentially make things a little bit more interesting for us where we don't have these preconceived notions like, oh, it's an Archon player, so obviously they're not going to pull, they're not going to do this, they're not going to do
That's
that.
true. That's true. I mean, the thing is, like, we're. I mean, I'm watching the speeds guess the rank. I've seen a few of those videos. I think they're fucking good.
Yeah,
Like,
they're
I'm not
entertaining.
I'm not trying to steal his idea. It's like we'll shout him out for sure.
Yeah,
He makes good shit. I feel like there's this idea that I always see this like I'll be just browsing Bowie's videos and it's like, oh, Jenkins did this or Speed did this, and it's like supporting this mentality that
there's only
we're
one.
like at each other's throats, or that we can't like do the same thing, or that we can't like be friendly and like
Right.
collaborate and things like that. Which I really don't think that's the case. I think it's good for Dota if we're all doing stuff together. You know,
Yeah,
I think
dude.
I think we can all do better about probably collaborating on YouTube. I know I've talked to a bunch of those guys
I mean,
about it before.
I completely agree. I think there's just like this weird superiority complex that's going on. I mean, it's in a lot of esports, but it's
A Dota
definitely
thing.
in Dota. And it even comes down to the fact where like pro teams won't talk about their strategies and all. Like, and it kind of makes sense, right? You want to keep your strategies close to you because you don't want to give away
Yeah.
anything because there's lots of money on the line. But at the same time, like there's everybody has this sort of mentality where it's like, this is my property, and if anybody else takes it, then they're peace.
But what people don't realize is that, like, at least when it comes to like streamers, YouTubers, or whatever you want to call them, like influencers or whatever the buzzword is for them now, if one of them is doing well, it's good for all of us. It's good for the players,
Yep.
it's good for the fans, it's good for the game. I going between being like a semi-professional player and caster has been like, there's like frustrating elements of that to me, because a lot of the players don't respect casters at all or care what they do at all, and they just flame them. And I understand from like a Dota perspective, flaming their opinion on the game, maybe, but there's like a visceralness to it almost, where it's like, oh, we don't need this guy, sucks, we don't need this guy, sort of thing. Like I think the mentality is a little too negative, basically. And
Yeah.
we need casters or nobody watches the game. There aren't players without casters. There aren't casters without players. There aren't players or casters without developers. The game isn't popular without creators. Like, other people doing well in the industry is great for all of us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Agreed. Agreed.
I love that Game Leap right now. They're probably about the only Dota channel that's still getting good views compared to a few months ago. Like, it seems like the post TI lull hasn't hit them as hard as like other people like us and Bowie and
Yep.
and Henry. And that's great, because that means there's more viewers that we can get. There's still people interested in the game. It's like what our primary concern is as creators should be, maybe it's not for some people, but it should be just people being interested in the game, right? It's like,
Yep.
then that's just good for us. And if we're not doing well enough to attract the attention of the people that are interested in the game, then we suck and we need to get better. And that's fine. That's life. That's like Dota as well.
Yeah.
You lose MMR, it's because you suck and you need to get better. Everybody had to get better at some point. So that's not a negative or positive thing. It's a neutral thing.
Yeah.
But if somebody's doing well in the industry, it's good for all of us. I like, as well, going on a tangent. I'm sorry for just going on and on about this. But I know people have the same toxicity towards Fortnite, where it's like, oh, that's a kid's game. That game looks so stupid. It's so cartoony. Why can't people just be happy that mainstream is now paying attention to our little gaming sphere? Like,
Yeah,
Fortnite is bringing gaming to the world. Ninja sucks. I hate that guy. He doesn't play with girls. Whatever it is, and it's like, it's great. It's great that these people are popular. It's
I mean,
great
it's
that
just
Dr.
jealousy.
Disrespect is popular.
It's
I guess,
jealousy.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
people like, I think deep down it's just like people are just pissed that it was this random dude from Illinois who is the biggest gamer in the world instead of them, when they've probably put in maybe as many hours as he has, right?
You can make $1 million playing games. I'm gonna go buy a controller and pick up that Fortnite game.
Fortnite. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, dude, I'm sure.
I think the whole like cutthroat thing is kind of interesting, just because that definitely was going on in the caster scene to some extent, and I've heard rumors of it being like really bad in the caster scene at times. But I think now, in the current state, like the political landscape of the casters that are going to tier 1 events all the time is quite good. And I think that there's a reason that our casters and our like presentation at tournaments is so good in general, is because everybody works really well together, because they're all friends and they all realize that like they're kind of in this together. And you can't really like backstab a tier 1 caster as a tier 1 caster to try and get like one up above them without basically just completely like burning all of your bridges.
I mean, everybody being friends does like, possibly have the problem of like nepotism.
Oh, for
but,
sure.
I do know that from all of the tier 1 casters that I've met, everybody's insanely competitive. They understand that in a heartbeat they could be replaced if they fell off, if they weren't good. Like, you have people like Cap who, casted to their dog, literally to like their pets, for just 8 hours a day for just years straight and to get where he is. And then Shiver, like working with her at Midas Mode, the amount of research that she was doing behind the scenes to just come up with stuff to say and transitions and
Right.
bits and ways to work different elements of like the tournament into the broadcast. It was crazy, man. She's like the sort of person that I think at first she didn't necessarily have everything that it took to be what she is now, but she put in so much fucking hard work that now she's just irreplaceable. You know,
Yeah.
like what she's the best. She is the best, hands down. And from hard work, and that's awesome to see. You feel like OD Pixel, who are just I mean, I'm sure maybe behind the scenes that guy also has hard work. I don't know enough about him, but that guy is like
he's definitely naturally talented.
he's naturally just you could talk to that guy forever. You know,
Right.
you could just
Which is his job. He's literally supposed to just talk. And so it makes sense, right? But I completely agree. You know, I personally think that Shiver's the best host in the game. And
yeah, no, seriously. And
it's
the
because she literally knows everything that she's talking about. And that's the important part. You know, like it's like people are like, why is Trent an analyst in like a casting duo? It's because he literally watches replays all day, every day.
That guy's insane too. I was watching him at when I was in King's Cup, and he's just like on one screen he's got sports up and he's watching it at 2x speed. The other screen he's got like Dota tournaments up, watching at like 2x speed, and just going between the two, like talking about one, talking about the other, just fiending, just doing insane. But that's what he does on his like free time. He enjoys doing that. So it's the perfect thing for him to be doing, is that he's like a super fan. You know, he's like, you take a super fan of a sport and you're like, hey, you want to be a broadcaster? And they're like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And they're going to be good at it because they've spent so long learning the game. You know, like just because he doesn't grind solo queue up to immortal, and maybe his mechanics aren't even that good. I don't know. I haven't really ever played with him. But
he's decent. He's like an ancient, I think.
But he knows the game front to back, at least from a broadcaster's perspective and from an analyst perspective, because he literally just watches these teams play over and over and over. And if you have a discerning eye and you actually are paying attention to the game and not just like being like, oh, you know, this is a draft loss, game's over, right? If you're actually analyzing the game, you're gonna get better at analyzing the game. So
yeah, agreed. All right, let's get into the questions. That was enough of
that was a good content piece. I think I'm gonna clip that and put it on like some business forum or something like that. That's good stuff.
Go for it. Business forum. Dota 2 Reddit.
Exactly.
Okay. Pixie says, as patrons, do we get free coaching? If so, how do we sign up?
I already answered that.
There's too many people.
I messaged him.
Too many people. That wouldn't be possible.
Yeah. But for everybody who's watching, if you are interested in coaching, Jenkins and I do individual coaching. You have to DM us on Discord generally to set it up. And we also will occasionally post a schedule when we have time, when we are open for coaching sessions.
Yeah, I'm a little with this. Can we say who we're making videos for? We can, right? Like, is there any reason we shouldn't?
I don't know.
Should we ask them if we can talk about it first? Is that
probably just in case like they have other industry people that are trying to do the same thing and you don't want to give strategy away. Anyway, we have some clients that we're making videos for about Dota. Let's just put it as that. And so we have a little bit more busy schedule at the moment than normal.
Yeah. I would like to do coaching though, because there's a lot of students that I like, recurring students that I have.
Yeah.
That I would like to get back to, because it's been weeks and they want more coaching. So
exactly.
It feels bad, but you know, only if life permits it. Okay, so getting into the actual questions.
All right, roll the intro. Welcome to Alchemy Answers episode 55. Thank you for tuning in, everybody, and thank you, as always, to our patrons for supporting the channel and asking such good questions week in and week out. And thank you as well to chat for hanging out with us and occasionally asking good questions, but mostly just asking us to talk about drama or our size, Wang size, or other similar important topics like that. So anyway, thanks to the patrons for making the show what it is.
I think my friend Chris Wang is like 6'1". His dick is small though.
Yeah.
Okay, Wink X11. As a pause one, what do you do when you rotate to the off lane to get a kill and then you're solo farming the lane happily, but then suddenly your supports and off lane decides they want to suck your dick and all TP there and starts farming the lane with you? We don't have push potential, and one of the enemy heroes who counters you is pushing. Fuck's sakes, Wink 11. Are you writing Harry Potter here? Okay. Counters you is pushing body, tank the tower, won't care about creep cutting. Should I, one, TP myself bot, it might ruin the game or get me killed, just let them take our tier 2, give the lane to my team and go jungle, or 3, try to push without vision and still run the risk of dying? Okay, I think I skipped a sentence there. Okay, we don't have
Anyway,
the push
it doesn't
potential.
matter. It's number 2. You if your entire team comes to you and you're the carry and your job is to farm, and they start like playing in your lane, your job is to basically just farm your way to the other side of the map. You definitely don't want to TP to the other side of the map, because if you appear there instantly, the other team's gonna be like, oh, he's there, he can't go anywhere else, his whole team's over here. Very easy to take a fight, either 5v4 against your team if they're there, or just kill you when you show up and show yourself in lane. So you don't want to immediately go there, and you would like to have the option of connecting with your team with the TP eventually as well. But they basically are doing something like creating a buffer zone for you. All of a sudden, there's 4 heroes there that are creating like a wall between you and the enemy team. So you can just take the safe farm your way towards the enemy side of the map, the other direction, and then see what happens, essentially.
Yep, I agree with everything Donnie said. The direction you're farming as a carry, very important. And if your team forces you to farm in a direction that's not great, you're a carry. What can you do? Vicky says, you win a team fight and take control over the enemy jungle. How to hold that spot if your team just used big cooldowns to win that fight? Is it worth retreating into your jungle and smoking back into their jungle when your cooldowns are up again, or what? Yes, that's very good deduction. If you just kind of randomly were like, maybe this is the play. That definitely is a good play. A lot of the time, you are holding an area and you can't you decide you just identify that we can't fight. If they run up this high ground, we can't fight, we can't continue holding this area, then you have to back off. But what you want to do is, if you just used all of your team fight ultimates to win that fight, you want to farm all of the map on your way to retreating out of that area, so when the enemy team enters back into it, they're getting no farm. So that's kind of the ideal state for you. And then you want to smoke back into their jungle and try to control that area when you can, because that is a much better place to hold than one of your jungles. So yes, 100%. I don't really have anything to add to that, Donnie.
The only thing I would add is that depending on what position you are, you should just make sure that somebody on your team, even if you're the carry and you're about to go take a fight with a smoke, buy a ward, because the whole point of taking this fight in the enemy jungle with your cooldowns is to secure some map control, hopefully. So if you take this fight, you don't have cooldowns, you don't feel safe just like sitting in the jungle because you don't have cooldowns anymore, at least place a ward there so that you can go back to that. Like, it's sort of like a waypoint. It's like, we can go back here because we have this vision to fight around.
That's what you smoke to later.
Exactly.
And you need to make sure that ward isn't one of the obvious eye spots, because when they take back control of that area, it will surely get dewarded. Mm-hmm. You want to place like a deep lane ward. You want to place one of the wards that's like in the river, in the jungle, not on like the cliffs, like one of these weird mid jungle wards. It doesn't really give good vision, but it still gives you like a glimpse of people walking through the area, so you can know who to go on.
Yeah, dude, it is really hard to ward right now. Everybody
because everybody knows all the spots.
Yeah, everybody's just like blanketing the high ground jungle areas with sentries, and it's almost impossible to get vision up there to control the area.
Yeah, people are doing these like completely ludicrous,
just like blocking camps to like and stuff like that.
Yeah, river wards. People are putting wards like just in lanes by like the top trees on the top side of the map, like not in any jungles, because it's like, well, fuck, any of these other wards are gonna get dewarded. So
yeah, that's why the one spot in the dire jungle where you have to cut the tree on top of a cliff is such a good ward that you see basically every pro team place, because it's like pretty much the only high ground ward that you can place in dire jungle that doesn't get dewarded instantly every single time.
Is the Quelling Blade one?
Yeah, the Quelling Blade one.
People dewarding that now, man.
Yeah, I mean, they are, but up until like Immortal games, you probably won't get that ward dewarded.
It's hard. It's a hard life, man. Everybody's like carrying. If you're a position 5 and you're not walking around with the quelling blade right now, you're doing it wrong.
Yep, I
There's no
agree.
way to get good wards down without quelling blades
You have
right
to
now.
cut trees and like put wards in weird places.
Yeah, exactly. You know who called this? Speak of the devil, Trent. Trent called this. He legitimately was saying that every single position 5 should have a quelling blade, and that he thinks that using the quelling blade to cut trees to get down good wards if people can't deward is like a thing of the future. And he was so goddamn right
Yeah.
that it's just insane. Okay, Shiver says, have you guys ever considered doing a greatest MMR gainer challenge, sort of like the biggest loser for weight that some people's jobs do, but the amount of MMR gained over a defined period of time with a prize for something for the winner?
Yes, I have actually pitched this exact idea to Dota Buff in partnership with them and gotten a reasonably good response, but never followed up with it. It's something I definitely would like to do, but there's a lot of moving parts to make it legit because people, how do you verify people's MMR without working with a data collection website like DotaBuff or Strats or something like that? It's like impossible for us to run.
Yeah, that would be cool though. That would be
It
really
would be
cool.
super cool, but yeah, I definitely wanted to do that. It's just hard to pull off.
Yeah, I like the idea of that though. That's a really really good idea. That'd be fun. Fazy, pronounced fuzzy. Fuck you. Come on, man. Why you have to make that's his whole name, by the way.
Yeah.
How do you find quality replays? Let's say I want to see a specific hero in a specific role on a high level in a pub in pro games. Seems pretty straightforward for pro matches. However, the heck do people find specific hero / role so easily? I don't have hours to stock the watch tab. Okay, yeah, go to Dota2ProTracker.com. That is the single greatest source of pro pub replays. And I would even say that it's better to watch those ones than it is to
Watch a
watch the
tournament.
professional matches
Yep.
because you can see what pros are testing. You can see their strats before they use it
You
in
can see
the
them play with
competitive matches.
terrible teammates that don't want to listen to them also.
That's true. That's true. So you can also kind of get an idea of how you should be running it
Yep.
in a sort of pub environment, which is really cool.
Yeah,
I love Dota 2 Pro Tracker, man.
I'm actually
That's
really
great
sad.
stuff.
There was this game that I watched on Crit's stream where he and Sumail were playing together, and they had 3 Divine, like 2 teammates or something like that. So, 9.5k-ish players carrying a bunch of 5k players against a team that was like all Immortals, I believe, except for like maybe one Divine player on their team. And it was a slog, dude. Sumail was like 29-3 and like 15, and Crit was like 22-6 and like 26 or something like that. And they were, Crit was scaling into full right click Dark Willow mode, going like Aghanim's Moonshard, like Daedalus. Sumail had like full right click Queen of Pain, like hard carry Queen of Pain mode, so that you could just like solo carry these fights. And it was a bananas game. I really wanted to do a replay analysis. The replay's too old at this point, but
that's too bad.
Yeah, it would have been a sick video, I think.
Dude, I played a game against I think it was Sumail and Husky, or it's like Sumail and Kitrak, some Sumail stack, and they had 3 divines, and our team was me, Ray, and then 3 like top 500 immortals, and we just obliterated them. There wasn't anything that they could do. It was like Sumail plus a support,
Yeah,
and then 3 people just running around feeding people like 1500 MMR above them.
Yep.
And all we needed to do was it was 1v5 because they had their Sumail's support was like 8k as well, but like position 5.
Right.
And he was morphling, and we just kill his whole team, and then he'd try to 1v5, and we just disable him, and he'd die because he'd just be the only person left to disable.
Right.
And then we had stuns. So like there wasn't anything that they could. It was sad, and the funny thing is we gained like 28 MMR for it.
Right, because
Sumail is so high rated. Yeah. And he was mad. He was mad, man. He was calling us animals and everything. But I don't know, man. It's
dude.
What can you do? It's the game. It's not my fault.
Yeah, I mean, I actually just talked about this in Discord today because I I mean, the matchmaking system is so messed up right now. Like, every game, I'm just the highest rated player on my team as a 5 support. It's like, dude, just put me in Divine and Immortal games, please. Stop giving me
Yeah.
Ancient 2 cores. It's like
I'm getting that
unbelievable.
too. I'm getting that too when I queue for like I'm queuing for fast queue just to get the tokens,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll get hard support, and everybody in the game is ranked 1500, and then I'm ranked 100, and it's like, what what is this? Like, how is this supposed to be fun for me? How is this supposed to be a quality match?
Exactly. And that's like probably 60% of my matches right now are like this, and it's so black and white. When I play with Divine cores and Immortal cores, every game is easy. It's just all easy. All I have to do is play support and we win the game. And
Because
then
the players that you support will actually like
they'll
exceed your
win the game.
expectations.
They'll win the game when I give them a good first 15 minutes. But
Dude, in that game that I played, I solo killed the enemy TA 3 times as Shadow Shaman. I solo killed the enemy position 4 while I had a Naga that was solo versus a Night Stalker. The Naga ended the lane like 2 level advantage on the Night Stalker, and I went and solo killed the TA like 3 or 4, just so many times where I just Serpent Ward trap him and he died without his refraction. And still, the Night Stalker ended up having like Nullifier Bloodthorn because Naga just sat in lane farming without using illusions, like with his hero, and he got smoked on 3 times in a row. So he basically just like he fed his 2 level advantage.
yeah.
Hello.
That
Can
so
I help you?
that's been my my sort of realization is that if I am the highest MMR in a game,
Ellie just she had no idea I was streaming. You can't hear me yelling in here.
maybe it's just par for the course. You're just always yelling
It is,
in
man.
here.
That is true.
But
She can't tell the difference.
I think the big thing that you have to do in those games, at least, it's probably harder and harder to do as you go higher and higher in MMR. But I think it's really important that you basically just like you win the first 15 minutes of the game because you're the best player in the game because you're the highest MMR on your team. So you should do your part for the first, like the part that you can control, and then
I did my part, man.
And then you should just become a core because you have to take that good start, and even if you're playing position 5, fuck wards, buy like 1 ward to allow yourself to play as a core.
I actually did that. As I was playing it, I was thinking like, oh, this is a game that I can make a video about because I have these like moron cores.
Yep.
So I solo kill their TA. I'm doing these smokes and like getting these insane pickoffs because I know that I can abuse these people.
Yep.
And the problem is it was actually working. Like my mid was huge because I solo killed his TA that he was up against, right?
Right.
The Naga was huge because I took the support away in the matchup. Naga versus Night Stalkers, heavily Naga. Like that's the hardest counter in the game because you just play the lane until 5 minutes and then you play with illusions. And Night Stalker loses until 5 minutes, so he has a 2-level disadvantage, and then he can't deal with illusions. But because the cores just did really shitty things, it's like the way I was explaining it to Ellie is that as like a position 5, in my opinion, for the most part, you can like change the probability that you're going to win the game to like 60-70%.
Yep.
But if you have 3 bad cores, you actually lose because a lot of position 5s don't do as much as cores with items.
Yep.
So even if you take a core position, if you're like a Caudle with a 4-staff Glimmer, if you've like 20k net worth on Caudle, whether you're going to do Bloodthorn people, like it doesn't do anything.
But I do think that, so at least what I think, like I had a very similar experience where I was playing 5 Lina. I just like picked Lina because it's good against Caudle, and I was picking first, and I was like, I wonder if I could run 5 Lina.
It's probably not a bad 5, honestly.
Yeah,
like it's really good at laning.
It was working well, and I was with a Troll, and so Troll can kind of hold his own, and we were just killing their offlaner over and over, and their position 4, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. I had Arcane Boots by like 4 minutes into the game, and I was like, I should probably just become a core this game, and instead of doing that, instead of like going for these scaling items, like, getting Aether, getting potentially like even bots and just going like core Lina, I got my arcanes, and then I was like, I'll buy a bracer, and then I'll buy a bunch of wards because I have all this gold, and I'll start playing support because I've had a good start. And then I just kind of like flatlined in my impact, and my core just sat there in lane like yours did, died 3 times to the other team rotating on him, And then it was like the game was over because I was back to being in position 5 when it was like 20 or 30 minutes into the game.
Yeah.
And instead, I needed to literally just go from being a 5 to suddenly being like a 3 because I've killed people 5 or 6 times. And I needed to just continue to be a 3 or even ramp up my farm to 2 and just like win the game myself. Even though I was a 5, which is like, it's hard to say, but that's literally how pubs work if you're a support.
You had to do it. That's the problem. I did the same thing where I was like buying too many wards.
Yep.
And I was thinking like, man, my Naga has a 2-level advantage on Night Stalker. It's a hard counter. There's no way that we lose this game.
Yep.
But like I said, I mean, I shouldn't be bitching about this because this is pretty toxic.
I mean, but the point is that your job is never done in a pub. Like,
yeah,
you can't just do your job and be like, I'm done, right? So it's not really toxic. It's just like that's just reality.
On Naga, dude.
Oh my god, why?
It was like he played like, oh god.
I can't even find any justification for going Vasher. You already have a BKB canceling ability, right?
It doesn't go through BKB.
Oh, it doesn't anymore. Okay,
but it doesn't matter. It's like you're a Naga, man. Why are you trying to lock people down?
You just shred people when they BKB and try and fight you anyway.
The hero just like cuts you have to fight her.
Yeah.
Like the hero cuts every wave. She forces you to fight her.
Yeah.
Otherwise, she just wins the game. So it just doesn't make any sense. Anyway, I'm not gonna bitch about it. It's toxic. Poopy Pants Boy says, if you're in the off lane and your pull camp is blocked and your lane needs a pull, is it viable to pull the enemy's safe lane creep wave onto the unstacked easy camp? Wouldn't this result in their wave pushing, since not all of their creeps will be killed by the camp, or should you try to do a pull through?
This is an off laner?
So if you're in the off lane and the hard camp is blocked, what should you do? Well, you could just push the wave, and then you could grab the next wave, and you can tank that in front of your tower until the next wave arrives, and then it's stuck. It's stuck there. I mean, you can do that. That's fine. Like you could farm if you're strong enough to farm the easy camp, you can just go farm the easy camp, block it, and then walk the wave to in front of your tower. It sounds like if you're strong enough to do that, though, you can probably just like own the lane by just pushing through and cutting the wave and then diving them.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah. I think your logic chain is like okay, but I think that you're coming to sort of a weird assumption that you can just you're basically looking for too complicated of a solution to your problem, which is that you need to get the wave towards your tower, which you can just do by pulling the wave instead of trying to like pull the wave to the small camp and then wait for it to push up to your tower. Just pull the wave to your tower and it does the exact same thing.
Yeah, basically. I mean, if you're on the Radiant side off lane, you can pull the wave and pull it behind the tier 1, and that's a really good thing that you can do that will deny an entire wave from the opponents. And then also that will give you the equilibrium right in front of your tower. If you're on the Dire side, that's just a shittier off lane. You have to tank it in front of the tower or pull it into the tower if the support's bullying you, which is fine. Generally, like that'll result in the equilibrium going in your favor. Basically, the worst thing that you can do is just let the equilibrium static, and if you can't pull it back by like using creep aggro or by using the neutral camps, then you need to push the wave and then do something after that.
Yep.
Okay.
Before we go on to the next question, I have a question of my own for you.
For me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which of the 2 new heroes do you think is going to be more broken? Because both of them will be broken, because that's how all Dota heroes come into the game.
My answer, I think what's his name? Void Spirit?
Yeah.
I just think Void Spirit's going to be broken because he's a spirit, and all of the spirits have been broken when they were added to the game. And I mean, Storm has been broken for like inherently mobility abilities, unless they're very boring and awful, which nobody's going to make a new hero that's boring and awful. That sounds like a really crappy way to develop a game.
Right.
Any mobility ability that's fun to use is going to be broken.
Yeah.
So that hero is going to have a mobility ability because he's a spirit. Snapfire might be like Pangolier, where she's really experimental and like therefore crappy at first. But I see Void Spirit being probably a little more generic, like than Snapfire. I mean, I guess the spirits are all pretty interesting. I mean, Dota heroes it's hard to compare to Dota heroes because we have so many heroes that are just so fun and so good. But like Pangolier is like there's so many things about that hero that just wasn't in the game before. Like
Right.
you had
Yeah, when he first came in, he was definitely the weaker of the two for sure.
yeah. You had like vector targeting. You have like the ultimate kind of working the way it does. It was experimental. I see Snapfire looks like a hero who's going to have some like weird abilities that might suck.
Right.
Um, Basically, Void Spirit is guaranteed to be broken, and Snapfire might either be ludicrously broken or just crap.
Yeah.
Until she gets buffed, which she will get buffed very quickly if she's crap, because they don't want people not to play the new heroes.
Right.
Okay. What does it take to be your friend in real life? That's a good question. That's a nice question, actually. I don't know. I don't really have any requirements. I've been like criticized for liking everybody. That's like that sounds like I don't know. Not much for
My
me. Not
biggest
much.
weakness is that I work too hard
No,
on a
no,
job
no.
interview.
Listen. It's like so. I mean, I've been criticized. Basically, the reason that I get criticized. So I'll give you a specific example because that sounds like a bullshit response. Basically, when Newsham kicked me from, well, he didn't kick me, but when I got kicked from, it's like Team Kingdom, and I had to stay at the house for like a week after I was kicked, which really sucked. And I felt like betrayed at the time by like my friend because like, oh, I would never kick you, but afterwards, I had the realization that it's Dota. Like this is kind of how Dota works. But I've had quite a few people in my life that are like, oh, I would never trust somebody after that. I would never be friends with somebody after that. And I can understand that. You know what I mean? But I feel like I can see from the objective perspective, and the reason for that isn't because of some like moral clarity or something. It's because of like severe anxiety where I think about it until the point where I can like almost make excuses for people. And I also like see my own weaknesses as a person and that I
Mhm.
fuck up. So like I kind of want to allow other people to make mistakes. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
I see
you're
how
trying to see it from their perspective as well.
it's kind of like I see how flawed I am, and I know the stuff in my life that I fucked up. So if somebody does something that like betrays me or something along those lines, I understand shit happens because shit has happened with me where it's like I look back and it's like, man, I shouldn't have done that. You know, I lit a mailbox on fire when I was a kid. I was an asshole. I regret tons of things. I feel like everybody has regrets, and it's just I think it's conceited to think that like you have some sort of like you're exempt from making mistakes like other
Sure.
people. With
Yeah.
that being said, I also understand this is me doing it, but I also understand why people like don't want to give people, second chances. But for me, it's like I can basically like there's a lot of people that other people would really dislike and I'll like them. Like I'll kind of be like, okay, Donnie, specifically there are people that
Yeah.
you don't like that I spend time with,
Sure.
and I know you don't like that I spend time with some of these people, and I know that they're kind of fucked up in a lot of ways. A lot of Dota players are, but I've still been friends with people for years, so I
I
don't know.
mean,
For me, not much.
having empathy is a pretty good quality, I think. I
I
think
don't want to call it empathy though, because
but it is
I
though.
feel
It is though. It totally is. That's exactly what you're describing is like I mean, you're kind of describing it in like a self-masochistic way where it's like, "Oh, I'm I don't know. It I understand what you're saying.
keep
And
talking, keep talking. I'm not going to be offended. I'm curious
I just feel like you're kind
what
of
your thoughts are.
you're trying to shit on yourself too much right now. And you kind of like look for excuses to be like, "Oh, I'm a terrible person." And it's not actually
I
the
don't think I'm terrible. I don't think I'm terrible. That's not true.
no. But I'm paraphrasing. I don't think
Oh,
that you
sure,
think I
sure.
don't think that you think you're terrible, but I also think that you go out of your way to like talk down to yourself sometimes. And when in reality, what you just described is just being empathetic to other people's point of view. And I think that more empathy is always just a good quality because the more that I become empathetic to other people, the less you hold grudges and like immediately react with anger to every
That's
situation,
true.
which is
That's true.
extremely important to just being a human being in society.
Yeah, yeah. Like I feel like my feeling is like I guess that's like part two of it, is like dwelling on shit
Yeah.
and overthinking things just leads to your own life getting shittier. Like I would rather.
Only if you dwell on that. Like that's the big thing. Like I think it's really important to self-reflect and be like, I messed up here. But then if you're like, I messed up here and there's no recovering for me from this, I cannot redeem myself for this mistake, that's where you start to have issues. But it's like if you can just be like, and I do this in Dota. Everybody should do this in Dota. I've been doing this more and more in Dota, where I'm like, I'll be super toxic in a game, and then I'll end the game, and I'll just be like, "What am I doing? Like, why are
Do you
you
do
being
you
such a
think?
huge piece of garbage? Don't be a piece of garbage next
Yeah.
game." And then because I was able to do that, then the next game I'm like, all right, I'm actively not going to be a huge piece of garbage and react differently when people inevitably make the same mistake that pissed me off last time.
All right. I have a question for you.
Sure.
Are there unredeemable mistakes? And if so, where's the line? Where do you draw the line?
Jeffrey Epstein.
What did that guy do?
Who-
He did some child porn stuff.
I mean, yeah,
Okay.
he was basically a pedophile pimp to various powerful people in governments all across the world.
So that's like the upper echelon of bad people. What about like murder? What about like
I
what about
mean,
some what about some like
that's
rage induced murder?
it's pretty irredeemable. I feel
Let's say
like
like let's say my dad dies and I think somebody murdered him and then I murder the person who I thought murdered him, but I was wrong.
it's getting next level, dude.
Is that
I
like is
mean,
that is that like redeemable?
I think it depends on who you are. I would say that in some essence, no, it's irredeemable, but at the same time, it's like, is there some way to swing it where it's self defense ish? Like, are you defending yourself from this person who murdered your dad? Like, is he coming after you next?
No, I'm
It,
saying like you think it was this person, it wasn't them.
oh, I mean, I feel like that's a pretty, pretty hard thing to ever come back from if you
I
murder an
watched
innocent person.
I watched this Netflix documentary series called The Devil Next Door. Have you
Hmm.
heard of it?
It sounds familiar. I don't think I've watched it though.
It's about the guy, the guard at Treblinka, the Nazi death camp, that
Oh.
was the called Ivan the Terrible, the
Hmm.
guy that would like poke people's eyes out and do just random shit to them before putting them in the gas chamber. And there's this whole it follows the whole court case where it's like, is it him? Is it not him? Is it a KGB uh, conspiracy to try to get the Ukrainians in America like upset with the um, who is it? I think it was the Ukrainians and the Jews, like get them like super upset with each other, so that way they would be fighting, and that way they could have.
This
Anyway,
podcast is going
yeah.
somewhere else
Anyway,
right now.
I was thinking with this guy, like he possibly killed 800,000 people.
Hmm.
800,000 people died at his hand, possibly, and you don't necessarily know whether it's him or whether it's not, and it leads to this really weird situation where it's like the law almost gets like bent to try to convict this guy,
Right.
because if it is him, what he did is so horrendously bad that he puts every serial killer ever combined to shame. Like every serial killer that has ever existed has not killed more than this guy
Right.
because of how fucked up the Holocaust was.
But if it wasn't him, then you're killing an innocent person, which is messed up.
Exactly, exactly.
That's why the
But
death penalty is so rough.
it's weird. There was this whole discussion of like, okay, now he's a family man. It was so long ago. He was just. Some people think that the guy was just a guard, but he wasn't Ivan the Terrible. And it's like, well, if he was just a guard and he wasn't Ivan the Terrible, he's still a murderer. And do
Right.
you just convict him to give like solace to Israel? Because it was a whole
Oh man.
national thing there. It's just so messed up, you know? It's just
But to
beyond
bring it
belief.
back, that's where empathy is important, because if you just are like, "Hey, it's that guy, he's the one," and then you just immediately are like, "Let's kill him," then there's no way to make a good judgment, because you're just immediately going off a snap like, that's the one that did all the bad stuff. He dies. And if it wasn't him, you had no chance to actually come to that realization, right?
How could you even, like, imagine it was actually Ivan the Terrible. Could you ever imagine
No, I
800,000
mean, if it
people?
was him, there's no way to empathize with that. How could you?
That's not human.
No, it's
That is
not.
not human. That is legitimately, like, that's a demon. That's an actual devil,
I'm not
you know?
gonna not gonna dispute that claim.
Anyway, going back to it, what does it take to be my friend in real life? Not much. Honestly, if you're just nice and you wanna spend time with me, I'll probably be your friend. I don't have that many friends, so if you wanna be, my friend, I would appreciate that. I just like hanging out with people. Um, okay, Ganksy says, "If I'm going into ranked, what is the largest hero pool you'd suggest I maintain in order to be competitive?" We've, we've talked about this we've talked about this quite a few times, and I think the general consensus that we usually come to is, like, 3 to 6 heroes, maybe plus or minus, like, 5 heroes if it's a really good game for them, or if you're bored and you wanna mess around just so you don't get burnt out. Like, I think it's perfectly fine to just enjoy yourself in Dota sometimes.
Yep.
But generally, I would stick to, like, a backbone of, like, 2 to 3 heroes that you're really good at. That way, you are guaranteed to be highly competitive on those heroes. There is just too much that happens and that changes in a patch where it's like, okay, Earthshakers, now they cut the first creep wave and fissure it, and it makes their lane so easy. And if you're not playing it a lot,
You
you're going
don't
to lose
know.
lanes and be like, oh, why am I losing this lane? Because you're not doing the one thing that every Earthshaker is doing that eventually you'd figure out from playing it to make the hero absolutely broken. That's obviously a random example, and Earthshakers don't do that. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But
Right.
there are these little tricks, these nuances that you can't possibly figure out without playing the hero a lot. And there's not that much time between patches. Most people don't play 50 games a day. So if you're playing more than 2 to 3 heroes, there's basically like a 1% chance that you're going to figure out the nuances of a hero before the next patch comes out,
Yeah,
which means you won't be competitive.
I kind of think we're in sort of a strange spot right now, because we've been on this patch with these heroes for so long, where it's been around long enough to where we're starting to see that cycle where it's like heroes that are not necessarily thought of as strong at the beginning of the patch and may actually not be that good are now quite good because they're extremely good against the heroes that everybody's playing. And that's just how Dota works, where it's like people decide these heroes are very strong, they play them a bunch, then people start to counter those heroes, then people start to counter those counters, and it's like the deeper you get in
Cycle
a patch,
continues.
the bigger your hero pool can be, right? Because
Yep.
you can actually recognize, oh, this is a niche situation where I can pick this hero that has like a 42% win rate, but it's just so good for this game that it's basically like a free win.
Yeah. We do see chat, Sergen, by the way. We probably should respond to it more.
Yeah, we should.
That's definitely a very very valid criticism. Um, yeah, we were reading Discord as well, so and I don't like interrupting Donnie when he's going on his stupid tangents,
Yeah,
talking about Holocaust and all sorts of bullshit like that. It's like
right.
what's this guy on about?
Yeah,
But
sorry. I just have very
we
little
see you.
empathy for you, and so I just kind of like to steer the show in my direction, wherever it may take me.
I would actually say empathy and forgiveness is huge, and people who go through prison face hard revenge usually say empathy is the way, and that's an original thought that I came up with. And I
Sure.
know that sounds like I'm intelligent, and it is because I came up with that. I'm just kidding. That was Jason Selden. Shout out to the boy Jay,
So speaking of chat,
which I agree.
I know
Yep.
we probably have a couple more Patreon questions to go through, but
A few more
what are other heroes that are good early and mid game that can actual snowball from farm during downtime, like Razor in the mid lane?
that can snowball and farm during downtime. I mean, I guess new Razor's good at that. Like Kunkka, I mean, that's like the best
Yeah,
mid hero of the patch. You
yeah,
just Tidebringer like 3 camps at once. You can stack Ancients and kill the entire Ancient stack.
yeah.
But he's
Kunko
also the
OD.
best rotator in the game. OD, Lashrak.
Yep. Any hero
It's
that
like
can clear stacks, basically.
this is like why Queen of Pain's not a super popular hero. It's honestly a dog hero. Queen of Pain's a bad hero because uh you
Doesn't clear
can't
stacks.
you can't really farm with her. She farms so slowly because her scream is on such a low cooldown and it's high mana cost. So if you do use it, you can't just go to a lane and fight. Kunkka just walks around with Tidebringer and farms, and he's full resources for a fight.
Yeah, I
It's
actually so
it's ridiculous.
in the Chengdu Major, there was a game where Liquid picked Brood, and it forced eHome to run a Sven mid with their carry, and it got me thinking a little bit that I bet Sven mid is not that bad
No, not
because
against like certain heroes. For sure.
he has this really hard power spike at level 6 that you could take towers with or rotate with to get kills, and he can farm jungle super fast. And he's kind of one of those heroes that is super strong from like about 20 minutes until 35 minutes, and then his BKB is at 5 seconds, and he kind of is terrible. He's like an initiator and nothing else at that point, which is
Yeah,
sort of like a tempo setting mid.
My opinion on these like BKB heroes that fall off is like you need to get a satanic.
Yeah.
I think like satanic is the late game BKB because the status resist makes it impossible to stun you
Yep.
for a long duration, and then you just press the satanic and you just heal to full HP and you're unkillable for the duration of the satanic.
Yep.
So, and if you have a BKB already, you can just purge. You can purge off what's it called, Spirit Vessel. Anyway, that's
Right.
theory crap.
You could also just run them as like a 3 or a 2 instead, perhaps, and have an actual carry
Sure.
as a 1.
Sure. Okay, Hockey says, which heroes are good to lane against? Pause for Lina. She is a pain in my ass.
Yes.
None of them.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't know what to say to you. The patch is almost over. Just wait.
Yeah, I
Just
mean,
wait.
I've definitely been trying to figure out how to deal with position for Lina, and it is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
I think that you have to dig like pretty deep into the roster and pick up, I don't know, like something like a Venge maybe or a Dazzle that can kind of trade against Lina.
I don't know. She'll
Or
stun a Dazzle or Venge,
yeah,
man.
or just go the full just like sustain route and like pick Warlock, or like Chen.
I think like Warlock or Warlock or you kill her, you get like a CK plus
Like
Witch
AA
Doctors
or yeah.
or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you have to kill Alina. I don't think you can trade with Lina. I think if you're trying to trade with Alina, you're probably doing it wrong.
Right.
Because that hero is picked because she outtrades everybody.
Right. Which is confusing because you're supposed to trade with the offlaner so that your carry can free farm. But if there's a hero like Alina, or I would even say like a position for like Wind Ranger or something like that, or Skywrath, you actually have to outtrade them first because they sort of create a buffer for their offlaner by just doing way too much damage and outtrading you by themselves.
Yeah. If the offlaner's good too, though, he'll like use his body.
Yep.
Anyway, it's hard. That hero's getting nerfed, so don't worry.
Best toppings
Jason
on a pizza.
Selden. Yeah, I was reading that as well.
That's one of my favorite questions because pizza is my favorite food, so I could go
My
on.
favorite food as well. My favorite food. I say we, but Ellie made homemade pizza a few days ago. It was really good. We make the best sauce.
Nice.
I just like cheese. I don't know. I'm a big cheese fan. But if I would say like what I think other people's favorite toppings are on a pizza, and if I had to pick toppings, I would say probably like meat lovers. That's a classic. You know, your meatballs, your pepper. I mean, how could you not put pepperoni as the top one? You know, like that's obviously an S tier topping.
We should definitely do a tier list for pizza at some point. We can do that. Pizza toppings.
Down. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I think pizza's so great because you can pick the toppings based on what you're in the mood for. Like,
that's true.
Like I agree that cheese is all you need on a pizza. And I think that is like how you should judge a pizza joint. If you go to a pizza joint for the first time, you should always just get their cheese pizza because that will tell you if they make good pizza or not. And then you can, you know, if you like it, you can go back there and you can throw on whatever else you want. Personal favorites: peppercini peppers or banana peppers, pepperoni. I mean, I literally like everything on pizza, but I think you can't have too much.
How about spinach? You
Yeah,
spinach fan?
sometimes.
I like spinach on pizza.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
If I'm in the mood for it.
Yep. Soaks up the grease. Delicious.
How do you
Love
feel
it.
about stuffed crust pizza? Are you a fan?
I make stuffed crust pizza whenever we make pizza.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of stuffed crust. That sounds like you aren't a fan of stuffed
No,
crust.
no, no. I think that's probably the only really great thing that Pizza Hut has ever invented, aside from
Yes,
maybe the all
yes.
you can eat pizza buffet.
Yeah, yeah, and the cheesy bites in the crust is good too, but that's just another stuffed crust, really.
Yep.
Yeah, to make the stuffed crust on my pizza, I just roll it out so it's like larger than the pan, quite a bit larger than the pan,
Yep.
and then I put cheese strings all around, and then I fold it over and just kind of squish whatever dough is left into the middle,
Perfect.
and it makes for this like the crust isn't going to open because all of the stuff is folded over into the middle, so it's kind of like like a calzone or a sandwich almost. So it's like a
Right.
2-layer crust,
But then you
but
make
it keeps
pizza
it
on
all.
top of that. Yeah.
Yeah, then you put the pizza stuff on top of it, and it's God, it's good. Anyway, the architect 3226 says, "How do you stay focused in a game? I have ideas about how I want to play the game before it starts. Probably not any good ideas, but still some ideas." Okay, he put that in brackets, by the way. I know that might have sounded like I said that, but he put that in brackets, just letting you know. But just seem to forget them and end up running at heroes and creeps. Um, I guess my advice for that is the the way that you can implement ideas into a game consistently is like number one, spamming the same stuff. So that way you're not going to be like distracted by heroes and all of these things in a game need to be so obvious to you. All of the basic stuff needs to be so obvious to you and muscle memory so that you can think about the more complicated stuff, which is your like game ideas. And what it sounds like is you're like, well, you said it, you're like losing focus in a game, and I think that's because you probably aren't playing Sand King 10 games in a row. But if you're playing Sand King 10 games in a row, 6 games in, you're going to be so bored of the hero. It's like, okay, now I go do this. Now I go do this. That when the enemy team does something, you're like, oh, I can do this thing to respond to that
Right.
because the baseline is already completely figured out. So you need to build to a point where the game is really easy and you put these like more complicated ideas on top of it.
Yeah. I
That's
also
what I
think that's really helpful to have some sort of like maybe like a trigger. To some people that might help. Like every time you die, like don't just sit there. Remind yourself, okay, what is my job this game? Like ask yourself some questions every now and then. Is what I'm doing right now efficient? Is what I'm doing right now the best thing that I should be doing? Um, and a lot of times you'll catch yourself like, oh, I've literally just been autopiloting for the last 5 minutes, and surprise, surprise, we were winning the laning stage because I was thinking actively, and now I've been on autopilot for 15 minutes, and we've been losing the game during that time period. Like that happens to me pretty regularly, and I'm just like, man.
Yeah,
At least I
that
caught
can be
myself 15 minutes in instead of at the end of the game.
yeah, that can be a hard thing to balance, man. It can
Yeah.
be really hard. Sometimes you need to just sometimes I actually just make the deduction. It's like, man, I need to stop playing Dota because I'm playing so many games
Yep.
that I'm completely on autopilot. I'm like too bored of the game to even. I'm just playing because I'm getting dopamine rushes from win after win after win. It's just like you just need to take a walk sometimes. So you come back, you want to play, and you can actually actively think about stuff.
Yep.
Anyway, Jastraga says I've climbed from 2.2k to 3.1k in 2 months. Congratulations. That's a crap load. And a half playing only position 5. And I think I've evolved as a support player, but I'm super trash at other roles except safe lane, which I play, but I don't like it that much. Should I keep playing only position 5 to climb? Should I start throwing my advance to play other positions? What do you think overall? My goal is to hit ancient and, if possible, divide.
Well, if that's your goal, then you should just play the role that you're good at.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that asking questions like this, you're more asking for permission to do other stuff, basically is what it sounds like, because you're kind of answering your questions. Like you're good at this role, you're not good at these other roles, but your goal is to get to higher and higher MMR. So if that's your goal, then play the role that you're good at.
Yeah, I mean, you can queue with somebody that's if you're a position 5. Like right now, I don't think position 5s have any excuse for not climbing because party MMR is the same as solo MMR. So if you don't like the dumb cores that you're supporting all the time, find a core that you like and queue with them in every single game.
Yep.
Just add friends. You get it if you get a game with like a good person and they liked you and you like them, which should happen occasionally, unless you
Right.
bought your account. People should think that you're good if you deserve to be at your bracket. Yeah, just I think just add people and try to play with the core. That's what I would really really recommend. Is that man, you're a support player. You're a hot commodity. Like
Yeah.
people want to queue with you. If you're a position 5, like Jesus, add me, man. You know, people
Yeah.
people
I'm,
people want to play with pos 5s.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't wanna like call anybody out. I certainly don't mean it that way. But Husky, his MMR has just been going up. And every time I see you in a party with him, it's just been up and up and up, and he is just getting higher and higher and higher on the leaderboard. SVG is another one. He's been like exclusively playing with Yoar and Sumail, and he is like
Yeah, Husky's playing with Sumail right now in a match.
yeah, like SVG started at like rank 500 or something at the beginning of the season, and he is like rank 10 now as a position 5 only player.
Yeah.
Husky's gone from like rank 350 or something to like rank 60.
I always make the joke that I treat supports like a commodity. I'm like, oh, I'll trade you 2 Huskies for 1 Robovice. Like anybody have a Robovice for sale? Like I just like I've been doing that joke.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because like, oh Husky, how much for a Chen? $2 for a Chen? Like how much will it cost me? What's the Chen fee? Because supports, man, they're getting tossed around. Like everybody wants to play with supports right now.
Yeah.
So find yourself a core. It makes their life easier. All you need is 1 core because duo queue is good. Trio queue is kind of bad because you only queue into trios and duos.
Right.
So yeah, you wanna try to just find a duo partner, a few duo partners. I have a few duo partners right now. I queue with some 4s. Sometimes I'll queue with like a carries, and then we'll do like morph shaker. But we always try to do combos. We always try to do combos.
You should. That's part of the game.
Combos.
That's like the entire purpose of professional Dota is to find combos that work together.
Yes, exactly.
So if you're not doing that in pubs, like what are you even doing?
Yeah. Yep. Where are they reading questions? It's not from chat. Sometimes we read questions from chat, but we're trying to get to the Patreon questions first, which we have one more. Ebert42 says, yo, I'm coming off a 4-month break due to having a second child. Congratulations on the babby. What advice can you offer me getting back into Dota? Just dive in, play some unranked first. It's been a while since I've come back to Dota after a break, but I did do it about a year ago as I was moving from like the Moonduck house to back home. I like stayed with my mother-in-law in Arizona. Couldn't play Dota for like a couple of months, and I mean that's a pretty long break Dota wise. I mean it's hard. This game is hard basically, and I would highly recommend not playing ranked.
Yeah,
it takes you feel like
you're ready. You feel like you're ready,
but you aren't.
Yeah.
You aren't. And so yeah, definitely play some unranked. Get back into it. I would have suggested like party queue, but that's not a thing anymore. That'll ruin your rank.
Yeah.
Definitely play some like overthrow to just get your mechanics back ready to what they were before quickly. Overthrow is your start, and then a bit of unranked to kind of get back into the whole swing of things, the game. Although the funny thing is, you're coming back to Dota from a 4-month break. I hate to be the one to tell you this, but it's exactly the same. Nothing has changed in 4 months.
Yeah, that's not always the case, but currently
heroes,
it is.
all of the same heroes are currently broken.
Yeah.
Where's Void at? You may ask. Still getting first pick. Still S tier carry. I guess Gyro's a thing now. Gyro's a carry. I guess Gyro's pretty good back then, but
yeah,
it's like as good as Void now. But all of the same heroes are good, if not better. Coddle's still broken, so yeah, you're good. Actually, you're good. Just get your mechanics down pat, and you'll be solid.
Yeah, and the best place to do that is probably unranked, at least for a couple of games, just because, I mean, if you are playing a hero for the first time, you're not going to know how to last it with it. Like, I've played 1,000 games of Bloodseeker, and I haven't played it for like 6 months, and if I pick the hero, I will miss like half my last hits.
Muscle memory is a bitch. Definitely. Gotta look out. That's it for our Patreon questions, by the way.
Cool. Well, we're at about an hour for the show. Should we take a couple from chat and call it?
Sure.
People probably want to go watch the major.
I want to go watch the major.
Me too. It's been fun. There's some good Dota being played.
Oh yeah. Timbersaw losing. Thank God. Well deserved.
All right.
Uh,
Let's see.
Void Spirit pause 3, 2, or 1 based on trailer. I get some Arc Warden vibes from that hero, so I just want to say like 2 and 1.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a 2-1 to start. I mean, every new hero, people always try to play mid carry.
Every spirit too. Every
Yeah,
spirit.
I could see him ending up as like a 4 also potentially, because that's like usually the trajectory for these like high damage mobility heroes is that they go 1 and 2 for sure, and then they start eventually making their way into the 4 role because being able to move around the map is overpowered.
Yeah. Jenkins and Elevator, how are you guys doing in general? That's a good question. Thanks for asking. I'm okay.
Depends on the day.
I go through days of being majorly depressed and days of being super, super happy. Might be bipolar. I don't know. I
Might
thought
also just
about
play too much Dota and put too much stock in how
maybe,
your games are
yeah,
going.
but the thing is, like, that would be like I think a therapist would diagnose that as like a serious addiction. If your entire like life view is depending on a game. I think a lot of people at like Divine and higher have a pretty unhealthy relationship
With
with the
Dota,
game.
for sure.
Yeah, I'm not trying to like glorify it or do a sob story. I'm just saying how it is. Like this is
Yeah.
just how it is for me.
You have
If
to
I
care
have
about it at a high level to get to that level.
if
So
I
it's
have
like,
shitty games in the day, I feel like I'm doing nothing, wasting my life, and I could be a software engineer doing this, doing that, but I'm spending all my day playing Dota. If
yep,
I'm having good games, I'm super stoked. I love to be able to do what I'm doing. I can't believe I'm playing games
yep,
and able to pay rent with it. It's like
yep. That's too
depends on
T.
if I'm winning or I'm
But
losing.
it's just like any job. Like if you feel like you're bad at your job, you're gonna hate going to your job, and it's gonna be miserable, and your life is gonna be miserable. So,
That's true.
you
That's
know,
true.
it's perspective.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm doing fine, stressed, but that's just
It's
life.
stressed. We have some videos that we're working on for a third party as well as the YouTube videos. So we've got
I'm
a
also
lot of
just
work under our belt.
juggling a lot of stuff right now, like
Wedding,
way too much. Like wedding planning, 2 other jobs,
job, yeah,
and then also Dota Alchemy at like 70 to 80 hours a week. So it's like,
yeah,
where's the time? And the answer is there's not enough of it.
yeah, yeah. Life. Will you come to my birthday party? Where is it? Maybe.
But
I get.
by the way, sorry.
Hello. What's up?
Are you coming to the ESL major in LA?
I
Because
would love to. I
I'm,
would love to get invited to that as a caster. That'd be really cool.
I mean, I'm
I might.
100% going. I'm buying tickets tomorrow. They come out tomorrow, so I'm gonna buy myself a 3-day pass. So
I might. I might try to email them about casting and be like, "Yo, I want to go to an NA event. I'll take zero
$50 a
dollars a
day. Yeah,
day."
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Because
Yeah, I hear that.
I would be so stoked to go to a major in NA. So
Yeah.
stoked.
I mean, I'm just gonna go because I should be there. It's like an NA LAN. It's an hour flight for me. I've got lots of friends in LA, so I'm just gonna go.
LA is, let me see, Toronto to LA. I think it's like 4 hours or something. Yeah, 5 hours 42 minutes. I mean, it's NA, so it's not that far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for the
I don't.
congratulations, guys.
I'll think about it. I'll think about it.
Well, tickets come out
What
tomorrow, and they probably will sell out. So
what rank of you two guys? I'm 7.5k MMR. That's my rank.
I'm 5.1k MMR currently.
Donnie, half of you plus yourself is me.
I know, and
I have a
now that
big brain.
and because I have an unhealthy relationship with Dota, that's gonna crush my self-esteem until I get up to 7.5k.
Oh, what am I doing playing this game still, man? Yeah, it's been like 7 years now. Oh my god. Oh, I get so addicted to games, man. I played WoW for like 8 years, and then before that, RuneScape for 10.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I bought the Halo Master Chief Collection already. I pre-bought it. It comes out on December 3rd. It's gonna start with Reach. I'll play it. I don't know how obsessed I'll get with Reach, but once they release Halo 3, Halo 2, and like the full Halo Master Chief Collection, where you can just queue as like all of the previous Halos but remastered in matchmaking, and they'll have ranks. That literally might be the end of Dota Alchemy, because that was my original esports introduction, and probably still to this day the most fun I've ever had playing video games.
I think I'm probably gonna get mega addicted to Diablo 4. I mean, that's gonna be in a couple of years.
Right.
But no, there's solid games coming out. Valve announced a new Half-Life.
Right. Yeah, for
Gaming is
VR.
actually looking pretty good. It's
Oh, hell
looking
yeah.
pretty solid.
Hell yeah.
Next couple of years are gonna be good, man.
Yep. Agreed.
Anyway, we've gone overboard with this one.
All right, guys, we've been so off topic that I think we're going to call it there. Thank you so much for watching. Go enjoy the major. Thanks to all the patrons again for their support and their questions. We'll see you later this week for replay review, and hopefully we will do it with not giving Speed Gaming any credit, but with our own idea of guessing the MMR for those, or at least
Yeah.
Jenkins will have to guess, because I'll be the one loading them up.
Okay.
All right.
See ya.
See you guys later.